Good morning, and welcome back to Who Am I? Who Am I? That show that just discusses what it means to be a human being. Ask the questions. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? How did I get here? Where am I going? How do we succeed as human beings? How does our biotechnology work? And I believe somebody gave us this biotechnology. It's not necessarily just highly intuitive. Our default setting isn't always the best one. What does that mean? Well, we're going to talk about all this kind of stuff. I talk about it every morning. I never know really where it's going to go. I don't actually know where to start. I just get going, and then at some point, something breaks free, and then I just keep talking. And if you're a fan of the show, you've seen me do it, you understand what it is that I'm going to be doing here. Who am I? First of all, you might ask, who am I? Like, who the hell am I to be even coming in to this space and talking to you about this? Well, I'm a human being, just like you guys. And I have concerns, just like you guys. And I have understandings, just like you. And I can put them all together, and you can put them all together, and we can put them all together, and we can talk about this. Who are we? And do we really want to keep doing it the way we've been doing it for the last few thousand years? What do I mean by this? What am I addressing in my mind as I say these things? Well, I believe humanity has a few problems. And you could get really hyperbolic about it and focus really deeply into what these problems look like, and they're horrible. They're ecological disaster all over the planet because of our behavior. The way we slash and burn and just destroy where we feel like it and put our big fat foot and stomp on things and change them all around without thinking about how they... We got the 6th mass extinction on planet Earth. 5 other times in Earth's history as we have... There might have been more, but we know of 5 before this. We can see it by looking through layers of ice and rock and fossils, and we have an understanding of 5 other times when the biosphere violently retracted. Those are my own words. Where major death occurrence on planet Earth. They were caused by things like volcanoes. I think there was a volcano that caused one. I know there was at least one time when an asteroid caused a mass extinction, caused nuclear winter, too much shade, vegetation died off, the dinosaurs died off. There was 5 other times in planet Earth's history that this has happened. But this time, it's happening because of mankind's behavior, and it's happening really, really fast. That's a problem. Mass extinction, 6th mass extinction of the biofield, planet Earth, caused by human beings. That's a terrible thing. We've got war. We've got... people are... they're gearing up for the election coming up. It'll be the primary election first. And then this November is the big kahuna, for president. And we have a disastrous choice. I can't even believe that they put this up in front of us, and they think that this is some kind of choice, you know, between the guy who is just going to keep on doing whatever it is we're doing and incrementally making a little bit better here and a little bit better there. Let's, free the kids from their school loan bondage, Joe. Make friends that way, but don't change anything else. As a matter of fact, you might have thought Obama did some, major things. I think that Obama probably handed out more licenses to drill for oil than any other president ever has. Now, I just made that up. It may not be true, but I've heard things like this. The thing is, there's a reason why Joe Biden is the establishment candidate, because he's not really going to change anything. He's going to toe the line, and he's going to make sure that everybody who's in business now stays in business and gets richer. And from that perspective, Trump isn't going to be any better, except for there's going to be a little more smash and grab and a bit more of a slant towards the shady and the shyster. Unbelievable. And yet, that's who is going to lead the greatest empire on the planet right now and be in charge of the nuclear codes and be in charge of the... you can barely trust Joe for this. And he has been no miracle in Gaza. So, I don't know. In some ways, I'm incredibly pessimistic. But, I'm not really pessimistic because I think that some of the things that I feel pessimistic about because I'm pretty sure they're going down. I'm pretty sure that certain things aren't going to make it because they aren't sustainable in the first place. And they aren't in alignment for the second place. And they really aren't working. And so, the fact that I'm pessimistic about whether these certain institutions are going to survive doesn't necessarily mean I'm a pessimist in general, because I'm actually not a pessimist. I have found inside of me the most amazing streak of optimism that I have ever known in all of my life. And part of it is coming from a better understanding of certain teachings, I'm air quoting, teachings that certain people have claimed, that I have absorbed, that I have considered, that I have swallowed down, and I have integrated their framework into my belief structure, and I've been tasting how that all feels, how it all works, and it's like, wow, this is a game changer. This idea of an inner being is a game changer. This idea of a vortex of creation that your inner being stands at and tends, I get it. I understand what Abraham's saying, and it's a game changer. It also actually blends perfectly with all of the religious traditions I've ever been taught. I'm like, oh, that's what they're talking about. That's what they mean when they say this other thing. They're really talking about, got it. Now, this is just me. And this is just a perspective. And actually, this whole Who Am I project is just me putting forth a perspective that I'm looking at, that I can't escape anymore. As a matter of fact, this knowledge of what is causing our problems, the fact that we don't know who we are, the fact that we are on fossil fuels, the fact that we really, as a people, need to deep dive into source energy and understand what it really is. Plug our devices into it, understand gravity, and be free of it. Start co-creating with the natural order of things. Understand the natural order. There is a natural order. A natural, organic, co-creative, cooperative, co-splendent order to this magnificent universe that we live in. This beautiful vibrational universe that really does have an answer. The mysteries of life are not unanswered. And what really is the mystery of life? How the hell to live a successful one? What is a successful one? What is a successful life? Well, let's define it this way. A life lived productively, happily, has to be happy. If you don't find joy, if you don't find satisfaction, then I don't care how many objects you acquired, you did not live a successful life. If you lived it tortured and unhappy, then you were not successful. Did you live in cooperative harmony with the rest of the field around you? Or were you in constant, were you at odds with it? Were you in competition with it? Were you struggling with it? Were you swimming upstream all the time? Were you focusing on conditional specifics and then spending all of your time throwing yourself at those material specifics with angst? Or if you were doing that, I don't think you had a successful life. On the other hand, the fact is that every single life is successful, no matter how, who am I? Who am I? I ask this question all the time. Honestly, I feel like I have quite a few answers, so it's not like I bang around in angsty torture. Who am I? Who am I? No, this very exercise of doing this every morning has actually brought me so much peace. So much peace. So if you're a fan of the show, and there aren't very many of you, but I do notice most episodes have been watched. You know, there's a few episodes going back. You can go back and look at my episodes. And if you see one that has a 0 next to how many views, go watch it just to see. Because that means nobody's watched that one. It's virgin. It's fresh. You go check it out. I think I had some good ones go by that nobody watched. And then there was one where like a whole bunch of people watched it just out of the blue. I don't know whether the same person watched it a couple of times and said, you know, wow, I need to listen to that again because, you know, there's something I missed. I don't know. I actually have no contact whatsoever with my audience. So I have no idea what anybody's really thinking. I just do this for me because I feel driven by this collection of ideas that I believe will help us. I actually believe that these ideas will save us. But these ideas, I'm not going to save us, not single-handedly. But these ideas that are being put forward by more than me, by the way, I'm not the only one who speaks of the things I speak of. The law of attraction stuff is spoken often by Abraham Hicks, and there's thousands and thousands of little 14-minute, 15-minute clips of wisdom. It's her seminars, which she still does hours and hours and hours of seminars every year, fresh every year. She's got new material all the time because it's like a game she plays with her audience. You know, I'm going to get into my space. You sit in the hot seat and ask me questions. I will come at this from a completely non-resistant, you know, broader perspective point of view from universal consciousness, and I'll answer your questions. It's a game she plays, and she has a wonderful time with it, and her audience loves it too. And so she does it every year. She keeps doing it, been doing it for 40 years. 30 years at least, been playing this game. She met Abraham almost 40 years ago. Where am I going with this? So Abraham talks about, you know, the inner being, the law of attraction, the rules of momentum, the idea of following your internal guidance system, your GPS guidance system, what your emotions are actually telling you. Your negative emotions are not actually telling you, they're not giving you an existential read on the value or not value of whatever it is you're looking at. It's not exactly telling you that. If you're into a state of negative emotion, it's telling you that you've gone crosswise to your inner being. It always tells you that because somehow your inner being can look at anything and not be bummed. You, on the other hand, are allowing yourself to be bummed by certain things that you're looking at, and it's causing you're taking small thoughts, small, mean little thoughts about it, and that's what's causing your emotions to tank. It's the thoughts that you have had about whatever has happened. That's what causes your emotions. You don't actually get an emotion until you get a thought about it. If you're just dealing with stuff, even if it's bad stuff, you don't have an emotion about it unless you have a thought about it. Otherwise, you're just going to have a reaction. You'll have a reaction, but not an emotion. That's different. That is special to human beings. And quite frankly, this is part of what has been given to us by, I believe we've been genetically modified. And like I do every single day, every single episode, and I'm sorry if you're a fan and you don't like this part, or you've heard it. I've heard it. I've seen this material. Why do you keep telling me? Well, one of the reasons is because you never know when somebody new is going to watch any one particular episode. It's very possible. And I want all of my material to be everywhere. The other thing is I'm kind of practicing for a presentation, a thought, a talk, a seminar, whatever, keynote speech. Somebody's going to ask me to do this at some point, and I'm going to do it for free at first. And then at some point, I'm going to get really good at it, and people are going to ask me to do this. Because I'm not just carrying this information myself. This is not all of my own information. I just have spotted it, have resonated with it in a really big way, and I'm like, oh, I recognize this is big material. And it's really going to have a large impact on us, even though I'm just a tiny little person and my little show is nothing. What I'm trying to do is pull together some really big ideas and put them together in a way that I've never seen them put together. I've never seen Nassim Haramein put law of attraction the way that I'm putting it together. And spirituality, he alludes to it, but he's very respectful. And I think that in his position, he's probably doing the right thing. Not being as holistic. He is holistic, but he concentrates on his lane, which is the mathematics, the physics. Very important that somebody be taking care of this, because the mathematics is going to get us to the technology. So I recognize all of the stuff that he does, and I put this forward because I believe that our understanding of source energy will allow us to plug directly into source energy and get us off of fossil fuels. I believe that our still being on fossil fuels is a travesty that has been intentionally foisted upon us in unnatural ways. And does not need to keep being. And it is what is causing the bottleneck of scarcity that is starting to really drag humanity down. And in humanity's, and I mean like individual human beings, feelings of constriction and scarcity, they are consuming the natural world, including rare animals, rare biological diversity out there. When you don't have anything and you want to tap into the I call it the supply chain of humanity, the supply chain of mankind, which includes goods and services, includes energy credits, the ability to plug into fossil fuels or the energy grid or whatever, and the ability to buy the technology in the first place that you can plug into the damn grid, or foodstuffs, or clothing, or building supplies, or whatever. The supply chain of humanity. If you want to live a life of 21st century abundance, you want to be able to plug into the supply chain of humanity. But right now, the main thing that drives this, it's not the gold standard, it's the petrodollar. It's the petrodollar. That's what the real increment, the real currency actually is. And currency is probably an advisedly used word. When we understand that we can plug our energy supply into source energy, but we don't even have to do that because we can create over unity energy devices. We have been taught that these things are not possible, but we have been lied to. They are possible. The reason that it is possible that they could have lied to us about such a thing is because, okay, what is an over-unity device? An over-unity device is something that puts out more energy than we put into it to make it run. We're taught that that is not possible. That doesn't sound possible. That sounds like it's against the first law of physics. Well, it would be if there was such a thing as a closed system. There is no such thing as a closed system. You can't close the system because of the way the Plancks act, the way space-time, the way the ether, the way the divine matrix is constructed. You can't close the system. And quite frankly, there is over 100 years of history of the brutal, vicious and savage suppression of these devices so that we would all stay incredibly addicted to and I wanted another word for that so that I could just have two words. Addicted to fossil fuels, because it's the only way that we have been taught that we can plug into energy. Now, there's some controlled other ways that they are allowing us to incrementally get off of fossil fuels here and there, as long as the whole thing stays centralized and centrally controlled by all of the power companies, by all of the oligarchs, by all of the small number of human beings that are controlling all of the real stuff that is running our lives, that is driving our lives. So one of the things I do in this show, and I didn't describe it yesterday, but I usually try to point it out because it's one of the few ways that I can share other pieces of information with you, is I put it into the description part of my, that's not where I want to be, the description part of my video. You know what? I made a list of this up. Here we go. This here is the list of all of the links that I put in the description of this video. So go find that in the description of my video and you'll see where all these links are. If you can't directly link from there, copy and paste. I've never really tried this because when my channel shows itself to me, it shows it to me different than it shows it to you, because I can monkey with it and you can't monkey with it. And so I don't know what it looks like to anybody else from their standpoint. I just know what it looks like from my standpoint. And so I put all this stuff in here. We have a link to The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. That is a movie, a documentary that talks about over 100 years of brutal suppression of what could have incrementally gotten us off fossil fuels. Could be supplementing fossil fuels now. There could be 1,000, 100,000 ingenious devices at work all over the place in all of their little ways, taking the pressure off of fossil fuels. But no, a growing population has to have a growing need for fossil fuels. And now that's all we know how to do. That's all our infrastructure is built to do. And we're screwed, people. But we're not really screwed, because all you have to do is understand what this is and then turn in the direction of what we want. And let's all just move in the direction of what we want. So what's the second thing I have here? The origin of mass and the nature of gravity. It's a YouTube video, 37 minutes long. It describes the paper, which is the link to the origin of mass and the nature of gravity paper. That's a little bit farther down. How about a link to the first episode of Quantum Revolution? Really excellent, excellent series. 12 parts. All of them are over on Gaia. And I know Gaia's a little kooky for a lot of you, and not quite kooky enough for some of us. Actually, it's a little kooky for me, but some of it is really good stuff over there. Anyway, I found the first episode of Quantum Revolution, the physics of a unified universe, I think. And that is here. It's the YouTube video. Then we have The Connected Universe. That is a movie done. It's Nassim Haramein's work. It's all about it, made in 2016, narrated by Patrick Stewart. That's actually really interesting too. Butterfly Dreaming. That's just an article by Paul Levy over at awakeninthedream.com. And then the last one is the link to the Whirling Dervishes video, and talking about, the Whirling Dervishes and why they do that. Why they do that technique of spin, spin, spin. Because the universe is whirling. The world is whirling. Everything is whirling. And when they do this practice, they feel closer to God. Actually really interesting. I think it's interesting because everything indeed is spin. It's all spin. Spin is the actual physical mechanism by which the universe is moving. And the reason that the allness can keep track of where everything is and how it's moving and when and where it will rendezvous with what is because it's holding on to the primordial spin, the one from which we are all organized out of. Somehow it's all moving on frequencies too. So there's this enormous and profound connectedness to all of us because of this connection through the primordial spin. But there is also something very divinely autonomous about every one of us standing in our point of individuated spin. We have the power to ourselves connect into our source, plug our plug into our source, and from that place, call our shots, understand our world, follow impulses, co-create with the rest of the field. That's what we can do. And I'm very, very excited to live a life where we're being that way, instead of a life where we're asking ridiculous questions like, which one of these two idiots, one perhaps well-meaning idiot, the other one, I don't know how well-meaning, actually, I don't know. I don't know. But the fact that this is who we have to choose from, and the fate of pretty much the whole world is going to be decided by it, because this is the great superpower that is policing the world, that is keeping mad little demagogues from getting carried away with themselves, perhaps. With our military, we're going to step in and we're going to... it's all so wrong. It's all so wrong. We shouldn't have the military that we have. The military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about is a real thing to be warned about, because it's a momentum of a fear, a momentum of an intention, of a frequency that has some good threads in it for sure, and is being manned by human beings that are wonderful. They are our sons, our daughters, our husbands, our wives, our fathers, our mothers. They're people. They're wonderful. All the people who are within all of the military forces, wonderful. And there was certain amounts of the intention of the military forces, certainly not completely out of alignment, but there's a lot of really bad stuff in there. And what is going to happen to it if a narcissistic mob boss whose guardrails are down? You might have thought that you've seen a Trump presidency before, but I don't think we've seen a Trump presidency before. I don't think we've seen one. I think that the guardrails have come down because he's going to have made it through everything that the judicial system could throw at him, as people tried to rein in this energy event that is happening, that is him. It almost doesn't matter what he says. He stands up in front of his angry audience and he brings up a topic and they roar. And then he goes, and they roar some more. And it doesn't matter whether what he says is nonsense or kooky, or you can fact check him till Tuesday. His audience doesn't care, because we're not understanding the nature of this event. It is an energy event. And it is an energy event, a vibrational event, a frequency event that has happened to be... It's what our founding fathers designed the Constitution to try to circumvent, to see whether this system of checks and balances would cover it, and we could stop the roaring train wreck coming down the pike. They knew what they were trying to stop. Everything from entrenched power systems and good buddy politics. That's not actually the word I was trying to come up with, but I was going to have a big blank space in the recording and I needed to come up with a word. Oh, who am I? And what's going to happen to us all? Most people don't look much further down the road than where they are. A lot of it is because when you try to do that, it looks kind of dark and apocalyptical, doesn't it? The most of our visions of the future are not particularly utopian. They tend to be more dark and tragical. So because of that, you don't really want to look farther down the road. But you got to ask the question, where are we going with all of this? How is it going to come out okay? Well, I don't think it is going to come out okay unless we get off fossil fuels. And I don't think that we are going to get off fossil fuels unless I don't know why I'm on this slide, Origin of Mass, Nature, Gravity. This is the paper. The paper that Nassim Haramein published last. He's not the only one on. There's two other names on this paper, by the way. I keep using his name, his name, his name. There are other names on this paper. Cyprian. I usually don't say their names because I'm probably massacring them. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that name. Cyprian. And now the writing is so small from where I'm looking at it. My eyes aren't great. I can't even read it. But please, if you can read these names. Olivier, yeah, whatever. He didn't publish this on his own. But all the math has been done. The unification of the quantum world to the cosmological world, the mathematics has been done. And it is understood what these vacuum fluctuations, what these quantum fluctuations are doing. At the quantum level, at the level where you're looking at the quanta, what's a quanta? It's a Planck. What's a Planck? It's a frequency. It's a frequency of a teeny tiny little length. Here's the Planck units. What it is that you take a photon going at the speed of light, crossing its own diameter, and the length of time, the length of distance that turns out to be, which isn't even the diameter of a photon, which I'll tell you right now, the diameter of a photon is not very long. But when you are a photon and you go that distance at the speed of light, that's even shorter. It's a teeny weeny, itsy bitsy little teeny tiny thing. And when you're looking into an atom of material, when you're looking into the structure of space-time, you're looking at an atom, and you're looking at the Plancks in the atom, you're looking at the quantum. Actually, I do have, I like this video, there's another representation of the Planck length. And the other thing I like here is looking at the pixelization of space-time. I like that one. Space-time pixelization. There's this one. This shows you the Planck density at the quantum level. It's really dense. Very, very, very dense. A Planck at this scale, at this level, is sitting in a sea of Plancks that is, and it's really dense. Well, if you take one of those Plancks and you grow it at this density, you take one of these dense Plancks. The density here at the Planck level is 10 to the 93. It's incredibly dense at this level. You take one of those Plancks, that size, that density, and you grow it to the size of a universe. Now, it's basically arithmetic at this point, but it's very high-level mathematics because you have a pretty complicated thing that you're talking about when you're talking about the formula for a Planck. You know, what is a Planck? What is the Planck length? You take that Planck and you grow it at that density and grow it to the size of the universe. And crazy, the number you get is the exact density of the universe. And I'm not talking about the conventional density plus dark matter and dark energy. Well, actually, that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that. That's what you get. You don't get the conventional density. You get what you would have gotten if you add the conventional density to the dark matter and dark energy. The dark matter and the dark energy is just a fudge factor. It's something that they had to add in there because if you add in all of what you can see as far as matter is in the universe, it's not enough. There's not enough oomph there to hold the whole thing together. It would fly apart. That's why they know that there is some force or energy or density or matter or something in there somewhere. They don't know what it is, they don't know where it is, but it's 96% of the equation. And we get our imagination behind that, and we're like, ooh, dark matter. Ooh, now I'm just going to put my special glasses on, and all of a sudden the dark matter becomes visible, and it's out there trying to get me, or whatever. Our tortured imaginations do all kinds of things. But well, all it is us not understanding the structure of the universe in the first place. But when you take one of those plonks, one of those itty bitty, eeny weeny, teeny tiny things at incredible density level, 10 to the 93, really, really small, 10 to the 93. Blow it up to the size of the universe and you get the right answer for the density of the universe. You get the answer that is all of the matter you can see plus all the dark matter and all the dark energy. You get the right answer for the density of the universe. No fudge factor involved. No fudge factor required. Now, what that implies as to what the actual structure of the universe is, and, what our consciousness must be doing in order to see it the way that we see it, because, wow, it's crazy what it really is. It's like everything is sitting on the same point. It's like we're all connected at this one point that we all share. Actually, really interesting. Really interesting. And I like to overthink this stuff for a couple of reasons. One is I do believe that this is the beginning of all of our problems, including my own daughters and their struggle with scarcity or abundance. Their struggles with how to get on in this world, how to get by, how to summon enough abundance to themselves so that they can take care of themselves, so that they have enough food and shelter and clothing, and they're happy and they have found their mates and they can take care of their children, and all of this without me having to take care of them, because I shouldn't have to take care of them. We can all take care of ourselves, and somehow they can follow their inner beings to their own happily ever after, their own dreams come true. That's part of it. That's it at a really personal level. And then there's a less personal level where I see myself in a sea of the humanity that I am a part of. And I see where I think they're missing it, why they fight with one another. I believe that this understanding is the beginning of everything. When we understand source energy, we will understand ourselves, and we'll quit fighting with one another. We'll quit imagining that there's an us and them paradigm that really has any validity. Yeah, there is an us and them appearance of something that does indeed happen. And if you react to it conventionally, then conventional things will happen. And that goes all the way to Holocaust. We've discovered that last century. I do not believe we actually have to do that again. We saw it. We recorded it. We have that as a visual aid, as a guideline of what not to do. And yet, here it comes. And why is that? Because we don't know who we are, and we don't understand what makes this happen. Let me go through real quickly. Actually, I like this one too. This one here shows, because if you do the math in all of this, you understand that all these little there are integral levels to the information. And at every level, it's like All of the information is there. All of the information. That they are black holes. Black, WHOLES, not just HOLES. They're black holes. They're integers of information. And every proton is a black hole. Earth is a black hole. The sun is a black hole. The galaxy has a black hole at the center of it that is revolving all of these black holes. It's black holes. It's all the way up and all the way down. And they are not the destructive monsters, the matter-gobbling, destructive monsters that we have thought them to be. They are just little fractal integers of wholeness. They're little fields of information, of the wholeness of the information, by the way. All the information of all the universe is encoded. All of the information of all of the matter in all of the universe is encoded in the Planck field of every proton. And I believe that what Nassim is saying about this is that it's actually encoded, updated now, as all of the Plancks sort of report in their information to the whole. How do they do that? They do it through a jiggle, a reverberation, all the Plancks touching, and they make this cosmic interference pattern that is transferring all the information of all of everything is being transmitted and transferred across scales, and our understanding of this is going to help us free us from everything, free us from fossil fuels, free us from each other, free us from this artificial, weird allness thing that's being imposed upon us. We're sort of drifting to this outward allness because we don't understand our inward allness. That's kind of a pet idea of mine. But if indeed every proton is a black hole, it's going to obey Hawking evaporation time through Hawking radiation. And this is the formula that shows the black hole proton Hawking evaporation time for a black hole proton. It looks like a black hole proton will evaporate in about approximately 10 to the 35 billion years. And that's not 35 billion years from now. 10 to the 2 is 100 billion years. And the universe has only been around for not even 14 billion years. So that tells you that it's so far down the road that you don't really have to worry about the protons evaporating, because by the time the protons in this universe have evaporated, there will be so many more universes having, foamed into being. We are definitely talking about a multiverse. And why are we talking about a multiverse? Because it's all mental anyway. It's all your consciousness. It's all you and your consciousness and what you want to experience, and how this magical matrix, this grid of Plancks becoming this manifestating, that's a word I just made up. The universe is a very cool place, and literally anything is possible. Your imagination is actually downloads that you're getting from your inner being, but you're getting it as vibration. You're getting imaginal downloads from your inner being. You think that you're just coming up with it. And in a way you are. You are, but it's your inner being is coming up with it, and your inner being is bigger than just the you and your physical body. It is attached to a larger field than just your physical body. Your inner being, your vibrational inner being, well, it's part of the whole equation, isn't it? So, what do I want to talk about today? I'm already talking about all kinds of stuff. It looks like already I have taken a slant to the mathematical. But it's because I know that our understanding of source energy, the practical aspect of it, is going to have an enormous impact on the way we do business on planet Earth and the way that we can do it gently and without such a carbon footprint. We shouldn't even be talking about a damn stupid carbon footprint. We don't need no damn carbon footprint. And it outrages me that we're still talking about such things. So, what's another aspect of this? Our emotional guidance scale. This one comes from Abraham. And, you can just kind of know this. This resonates with me, so just because she came up with it doesn't mean I don't completely understand this. The thing is you have two selves within you, and one is always positive. And so, you could say that how well you are blending with your pure positive self can be, you can evaluate it by looking at what emotional mood you are in. If you're in a bad mood, you're not blending with your positive self very well. If you are in a good mood, then you are blending with yourself very well. Now, you may think that whether you're in a good mood or bad mood is dependent upon the conditions around you. We have been taught just to be conditional. Observe the world. If you don't like it, get mad. If you do like it, be happy. And so we all get into this conditional place where our happiness depends on the conditions being in a certain way, but then now we don't have any control over the conditions because there's 8 billion people and they all have their own ideas about what to do. You can't control any of it. It's like herding cats, Ultimately, trying to herd 8 billion people is like herding cats. They're all slipping out of your fingers here, and there's ornery ones, and there's ones that just will not conform. And then there's whole generations of them being born who are physically incapable of conforming. I'm talking about, people with autism and all kinds of stuff. They're like stubbornly standing in a place going, I defy you to try to control me. And so you have to let go of your idea of fixing the world by controlling it from the conditional standpoint. You can't control the conditions around you. But you have great influence over the conditions around you. Did you know that? Did you know you have great influence? And what is your greatest influence? You can influence others either to their alignment or to their chaos. You can influence them to their coherence. It is chaos or coherence. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by whether you are in alignment or not. Your alignment has tremendous influence on the field around you and its alignment. If you can find your stability, your ground, and hold it, others around you will resonate with it and go, oh, yeah. Ooh, I absolutely understand what you're saying. Or if you get angry and you start clearly pulling together this idea with this idea with this idea and pointing at, you're the ones who are carrying the Shiva energy. You're the ones allowing the demons to drive your HBV. That's your human being vehicle, just in case you were not a regular listener of me. And I only irregularly define my terms anyway. I should have a glossary. You know, of all of my pet terms, I have things like divine autonomy or addition consciousness or the HBV, that sort of thing. So what is your inner being? Your inner being is your purely vibrational aspect. Now, you are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe. You may or may not know that. Even your physical body is vibrational. It's a denser vibration, but it is vibrational. But you could think of your two aspects of yourself as being from your skin in and then from your skin out. But that's not exactly true, because from your skin out, that aspect of you also includes from your skin in. So your vibrational self is your whole self. Your conventional self is pretty much just from your skin in. It's who you generally think of as yourself. That part of yourself that really is going to die, that really is going to expire, that really is going to go away, and it will be no more. And if you are identified with that person only, then you probably feel I would feel frightened. I would feel threatened and uncomfortable. I would feel that actually, if I thought that was true, there would be all kinds of emotions that would start to stir in me as I felt, oh my God, I only have a couple of years left to live. And then and I know I'm dying, and when this body is gone, then I don't exist anymore. I would probably be tortured with thoughts like that. But it's a good thing that I don't actually think that way, because this is who I think I really am. And remember, the name of the show is Who Am I? So we get to talk about this, right? Who am I? Who am I? This is who I think I am. And you can have your own ideas. As a matter of fact, let's all have our own ideas. But when we find ideas that resonate well within ourselves and with one another, and that really add up to big things, let's share them. Let's add them into one another. Let's not be superstitious about our feelings about the Almighty any longer. Let's talk about reality. Who am I? So this is who I think I am. I think that I am actually the quantum field. That's who I really am, and I am connected to all things, and I am at the center of my very, very, very own universe. Now, my own universe contains all of y'all's universe too. I mean, I'm not creating this individual universe all by myself. There is a common thread of information and co-creation that we are exchanging with one another. We are doing this together. We are all in this together. You cannot escape your fellow human beings. If I could, I would. But we can't. And so instead, I have been forced to understand who are we and what the hell is going on. So according to Abraham, I am two spinning points of attraction. Two autonomous, in a way, points of attraction. One is my source mind, one is my conventional physical mind. Now, my source mind is connected to all that is. All that was a minute ago, and 5 minutes ago, and an hour ago, and 1,000 years ago. Continuously, I am a continuum on that. From that perspective, I am a continuum. A continuum of connection to the reality around me. My source mind knows who I am. in my atoms, in my physicality, in my universe, knows where my blood is flowing, knows where the wind is blowing, knows where all of the cooperative components to all of my desires, where they are and how they're spinning, and how and when I might rendezvous with certain things that I care about if I would listen to the promptings of my inner being and move to its impulses. How do you do that? Well, you have to resonate with your inner being. How do you do that? Well, understand that your inner being is pure positive energy and always, always, always feels good. Always knows your value. Knows the value of everyone around you, even your asshole neighbor, even your rotten kids, or your lazy layabout of a husband, or your whoever. Even the autocrat that's getting ready to take power over you. It doesn't matter. There is no us and them. We are a field phenomenon, people. We need to understand ourselves as such. Because I don't want to hear anybody... I hear people on the political ads all the time. The few that get through, because I really don't listen to them very much. And they're talking about solving our problems. Cracking down on crime, or, getting to the... I don't even want to talk about our problems unless people want to talk about what our problems really are and where they really come from. And because that's the only way we're going to solve them. Which brings me right away to this slide. I am inspired to put this one up. These are the 5 kleshas. This is from Buddhist philosophy, which my daughter and I dabbled there for a minute. It was giving me relief from a very angsty teenager, because the Buddhism was giving her a bit of relief from it, but that didn't last. But, life goes on. What I did with the Buddhism is I sort of absorbed certain parts of it, and like an owl swallowing their prey whole, then I, regurgitated up the bits that didn't go down all that well. But this is interesting. In Buddhist philosophy, which is a perfectly respectable and very intellectual, what's the word? Disciplined? These are considered to be the root causes of all suffering. And I'm going to have to agree with them, not knowing what's real. And so I don't even want to talk about how to solve our problems unless we can talk about what's real. What's real? What is this universe? How is it actually constructed? And how do I fit in with its construction? And how does my biotechnological equipment work? And what is my biotechnological equipment? Well, it turns out part of it is my emotional guidance system. I have an emotional guidance system. And this emotional guidance system is telling me green light, red light. Green light, red light. If I am in resonance with my greater over-being, my broader perspective, who I really am, this vibrational, pure, positive aspect of myself that knows who I am and knows where I've been, knows what I mean, knows what I feel, knows what I love, knows what I care about, knows what I want. When I'm in resonance with that aspect of myself, I feel good. And when I feel good, when I feel emotionally good, that's a green light. Go. Move into the space. Get specific. Milk it for all it's worth from that position. But if you're in a place where you emotionally feel bad, don't think that you're responsible to the conditions first, and it doesn't matter how you feel. You got to get in there, and you're misunderstanding your equipment. if you're doing that. And it will accomplish things. What it will accomplish is what you're doing will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until even you can't ignore it anymore and you go, oh, I see what it is, and then you stop. And so there is value in that. There is value in us acting out of alignment. Don't worry. If you don't see what you're doing, don't worry. It'll get bigger. It'll get bigger. If you don't see the shadow of darkness that you are creating, don't worry. It'll get bigger. So, what has somebody done to us? They have given us our emotions. And how did they do it? They gave us a neocortex. They gave us an overview physical mind that now, from an overview position, can evaluate the broader situation as opposed to just reacting off of hormonal impulses caused by conditionality. Like someone is running off with my infant child, and so I have a reaction, or my forest is burning down, so I have a reaction. Let's go back to this slide here. It's a common slide. You see it on the internet. I think I got this one from Greg Braden. I think the only thing different on his here is over here the neocortex is circled. I think that's the difference. It doesn't matter. You can see this is the general layout of the physical human mind. It's this system of all these different brains. The lizard brain that is in control of what it's in control of, and then your mammalian brain. And I point out how different you had to be to become a mammal. How different your consciousness had to be. As now all of a sudden you have to care about something that is not just emanating from yourself. You have to care about something outside of yourself as though it is yourself. Care for it tenderly. Tend it. Teach it. Feed it. Protect it. All that kind of stuff. You didn't have to do that as a lizard. And so there are different things that kind of came up that sort of was the beginning of some of your emotions. But that's not what complex human emotions are. Complex human emotions are a different thing. They come from a resonance or a non-resonance between the overview mind, the neocortex, the ability to step back from the whole situation and take bigger thoughts that tie things together, that give meaning and understanding to the greater picture that you're looking at. And when you take thoughts that resonate with what your inner being's thoughts are, and what are its thoughts? Well, what is your inner being thinking about? Well, first of all, your inner being knows where all the physicality is. It's not thinking about the physicality. It doesn't have to think about the physicality. It just knows where all the physicality is. And we've discussed this in other episodes. It's happening because of this jiggle, this holographic jiggle of space-time that's happening across all the scales, transferring all of the data and information across the morphic fields. That's what that is. So your inner being knows where all the stuff is, so it doesn't have to think about the stuff. It's not thinking about the stuff. It just knows where all the stuff is. It's thinking about what you want, what you love. It's also thinking about, is it thinking about who you think you are? I think that every time that you claim a love, I love this, I prefer this, I want this, I desire this, I prefer this, I love this, every time you do those things, you are declaring who I am. I am a person who values peace above all things. Peace and drama-free cooperative co-creation. I want that more than I want anything. I absolutely adore efficiency and what would the word be? Coordination is, but it's hold on. Organization is the word. I adore. It makes me crazy to see our big general systems so off in a vibrational way from the order of, from the cooperative order of the universe. It drives me crazy. And so that's why I feel compelled to come into this space and do this show. Who am I? Who am I ask myself. But I ask myself with my eyes bright and open and a heart eager, knowing that there is an answer. So I ask the question, what is my inner being looking at? So my inner being knows where everything is, and she's looking at what I want, at what I love, at who I am. And as such, it's determining where I'm going. So that brings me to, actually, before I leave this slide, and I am going to go to my four general states of being slide, because I think that one is important. But before I leave this one, we're going to point out that neocortex, that overview thinking mind, that its thinking it's analogous to the overmind of your inner being, which is why it's really important that it resonate with the ideas of the inner being. When it doesn't, then that's when you get strong hits of negative emotion, and that's when you absolutely should not act. You should sit on your hands and think it through, meditate, feel it through, get plug back into your source, and then when you feel better, now go forth and act. But if you act from a state of negative emotion, I have all kinds of things to say about what you are birthing into the world at that very moment. When you do that, it may seem banal and innocuous to you, but when you cross your own energy, the shadow is born in the world. The demons walk the land. Shiva energy is born. All kinds of ways you can look at that. It is storms of chaotic energy are birthed. And when they start resonating with one another, then lo and betide us all. Actually, that's probably not the right expression. Where did this neocortex come from? It came from a fusion of two ancestral, turns out, look at this, relic of an ancient telomere to telomere fusion, and marks the point at which two ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. I do believe we were genetically modified, and all of the incredible things that implies, because it would have been done to us about 200,000 years ago, give or take a few millennia. The reason, it's because it would have been when our own anthropological scientists, anthropology, our paleontologists, all of those people, when they agree that anatomically modern humans appeared on planet Earth. Now, they're still digging around. They're still looking for the bones. Where's the bones that connect, the ape to the human? I don't think it's in the bones. I think it's in the DNA. And here it is. Somebody did this to us. This is why we are different. This is why we are so cantankerous. That's why we are so obstinate. That's why we tend to go negative, because we don't understand our equipment. We take the world at face value. We believe in it conditionally, especially now, especially in this modern day and time where we believe our scientists more than we believe our religious teachers. And with good reason. Our scientists are bringing us all the technologies that are running the world. Well, they're also pointing out to us in what they do with the world, their shortcomings. And what are they doing with the world? They're claiming that we have to burn fossil fuels, and I know that we don't. We do not have to burn fossil fuels, and we don't have to have a single big grand scheme to get off of them that will in itself also be harnessed by a big smart grid that's run by wires and controlled by a few human beings. We don't have to do that, people. We don't have to do that, and us thinking that we have to do that is, I believe, largely the source of a lot of our problems on the planet. A lot of our ecological problems, the planeticide, the sixth mass extinction, even the creation of our paradigms of manufactured scarcity. We imagine that we're carving up a finite pie, and if you take up more than your fair share, then there's none left for me. And that's not true at all. And the center of that pie can be anywhere. But we have to be able to pluck. Can you imagine if we had solid state, no moving parts, devices that we could plug all of our technologies into anywhere? That means if you are an impoverished person living out on the hot, dry desert at the bottom of the Baja Peninsula with hardly any money to your name, you could still get by, because all you need is one of these devices, and they aren't going to be scarce. Everybody's going to have them. They aren't going to be hard to build, and they aren't going to break easily either. And once you've built a couple of them, you have all the energy you need to make all of the devices that you need. You can give these devices to everybody. Now they can run all of their equipment. They can run they can get a hold of a smartphone or a computer or a fan or equipment to run their what is causing our appearance of scarcity is the scarcity of energy. And there is no scarcity of energy. That's what I'm saying, people. And I do believe that us studying this with the intention of understanding it, knowing that understanding can happen, I think it's key. I think it's very key. And I was going to show this slide. This is one of my slides. I show it every day. These are your 4 general states of being. This is your controls of your own personal machinery. Think of the specific, either positive or negative. Specific equals accelerator. General equals decelerator. Now, depending on where you are, you will, if you're in a positive, go specific. If you're in a negative, go general. Pull back to the general. Try to find your way to any general positive. From a general state of positive, try to find a way into the grid on a positive track. You don't want to weigh in on a negative track. The negative is your emotions telling you that your thoughts are taking you in the opposite direction of where you want to go. That's why you have a negative emotion. It is not telling you a existential read on the conditions. It's telling you what direction your spirit is going. Is your light vehicle moving in the direction of what you want? Or are you moving 180 degrees in the opposite direction of what you want? That's all. And don't beat yourself up for it, because if you go negative and then you beat yourself up for going negative, which means you go more negative, you're just exacerbating the problem. You've actually accelerated how fast you are moving in the direction of what you do not want. Don't take it personal, people. Do not take it personal. It is not personal. We live in a vibrational universe, and you are a vibrational being in this vibrational universe. And what is this vibration? Well, it's, if you look at it at the quantum level, every one of your Plancks, and you are made up of Plancks. It's the divine ether, the fluid dynamic, this magical divine fluid, that it's a plasma of Plancks touching one another that the universe is made of. And that's what you are made of. They are all, every one of them, winking out of existence and then wholly winking back in. Wholly winking out and wholly winking back in. You are brand new. Every Planck, brand new. And the only reason you have a continuation of experience is that because of the way your attention is, you're winking in mostly the same way you winked out. Mostly. But you're moving in the direction of whatever it is that you're looking at. So if you are staring at things that you don't like, then that's what you're winking back in as. Completely different, but basically the same thing. Wow. So what else do I need to say? Because I realize I have passed the hour and 22-minute mark. So it is fair to say I could stop at any moment if I wanted to. I haven't pointed out cymatic patterns yet today. I hammer this all the time because I find this significant. We are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and the study of cymatics kind of helps your imagination understand it. You know, the cymatics is the study of the relationship between vibration and form. And the guy who pioneered the field of study did it by taking a metal plate and humming a frequency through it. He'd sprinkle a granular medium on top, and he would observe that frequencies would produce patterns on the plate, coherent patterns representing the frequencies. Change the frequency, change the pattern. Increase the frequency, increase the complexity of the pattern. Now, if you notice here, so upper right, lower left, those are metal plates with granular medium and a vibration going through it, producing those patterns. Upper left, lower right, those are natural. Those are cymatic patterns being produced in nature. We really do live in a vibrational universe, and we are vibrational beings in this vibrational universe. And I believe that us understanding these vibrations, if you want to understand the world, you got to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And I'm telling you, people, this is going to bring us directly to freedom from fossil fuels. Freedom from horribly conglomerized, centralized energy and power systems that control our lives, where oligarchs and autocrats and their needs and narcissists and mob bosses can control our lives. I don't want that. You don't want that. If all of us were capable of going off into nature and creating our own little ecosystem, our own little ability to co-create with the field and cooperatively co-create with the ecosystems around us to recreate abundance in our own little backyard for us and all of the creatures around us. If we could all go off and do that, we could regarden this planet pretty dang quickly. I also believe that this understanding of source energy leads us directly to feeling our vibrational connection, our loving connection to the whole thing. It sort of is it's a safety measure of its own. You don't get to understand source energy until you understand that you are at the center of the universe. Your own universe that you are co-creating with everyone else in their own universes. It's like your universe is like your very own dream. And you get to dream it however you want. And just like in a dream, whatever you feel, whatever emotion you're feeling, the landscape of your dream will start to reflect how you feel. And as you do that with your dream, we're all together in this same dream. You're dreaming it from where you are, and I'm dreaming it from where I am. And we can start a pretty good clip here. This is how come I add Paul Levy's Awaken in the Dream stuff. Go check out his work and his ideas. His pet idea is Wetiko, this psychic blindness, this kind of illness that comes to the human psyche. It's a natural pitfall of our design. And he maintains that there are messages and information contained in the very study of quantum physics that will heal us. There is a healing field of information within quantum physics that will heal this Wetiko disease. He gets this word from, it's a Native American term, and they noticed that the white man really had this disease in a bad way, that almost all white people had this problem. They noticed it before white people came, but it was a much less common condition that they would notice in their occasional, what are they? All right, well, I got a text and then I changed the subject in my mind for a while, and now I've kind of lost my place. So I think I was just about done anyway. I am coming up on an hour and a half here in just another minute or two. So I think I'm going to wind it up. And I hope I see you back here tomorrow. I don't have new things to say, except for I can keep coming at this from every direction that I can think of. I do believe that this is the secret to everything, the secret to peace on earth, the secret to the ending of all poverty and the ending of, I just think that this is the way to go. We need to understand source energy. We need to understand who we are. We need to get off fossil fuels, all of that. So until tomorrow, when I hope you'll be back here with me, I wish you well. I bid you peace, and may the source be with you.